To order. A program re- No. A program review of the Board of Trustees of Justin ISD is being held, beginning at 6 p.m. in the ERC room. We'll do roll call. Mr. Flores. Mr. LaFleur.
Here.
Mr. Selman. Here. Ms. Adair. Mr. Salinas here. Ms. Dr. Mackey.
Present. Mr. Young.
Here.
Ms. Howard.
Here, sir.
Mr. Elizondo.
Here.
Is Ms. Robinson here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, Ms. Bear? All right, all present,
All present and
except
accounted
Ms.
for.
Grady.
How about Steve?
Mr. Mr. Lipscomb and Mr. Kirshner, Mr. Kirshner's in there with the bidding process. I told him to stay in there because we gotta have this done by tomorrow, so he's working on that.
Okay. And they did open the bids today at 4 o'clock. They'll bring out the date in a minute. Good. Okay. Program. We've done, roll call. We have established a quorum. Therefore, we go to program review discussion part 1. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
I must ask if we could change the order and maybe do technology first and let staff number two.
Doesn't matter. You have to be here tomorrow.
They only have to do the department presentation.
I asked them to come. I mean, they're not, if they need to go, they're free to go tonight, though, so.
Right, but if I have something else,
I'm stuck.
who's that kid?
Well, that's true as well.
Well,
It's up to him to call it, but it's my choice if they stay here all night.
there you go. I was just gonna say, on this program review, we're starting at, like I said, we started at 6. I will review at 8 o'clock how much we have covered, and hopefully that's going to be the stopping point at 8 o'clock. Whatever is not finished, we will continue the following week, which is April the 3rd. We will continue on that. And we will start human resources, item A. And what I'll do, I'll just go ahead and go around the table, giving everybody an opportunity to ask questions. Unless, Dr. Mackey, you want to start by saying something?
Yes.
Or- Okay, go ahead, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board for an opportunity to do this program review. And we'll follow the program review unless the board decide to change it in your order. But before we start and we're looking at HR and the program review, I'd like for all board members, did we put one of these by every board member desk? I would like for you to look at the organization chart. I would like, when we start talking about HR, then I would like, as part of the superintendent's, is to organize his organization structure. If you would look at this organization structure, and you would see this where it has Dr. Mackey, second in command, associate superintendent, curriculum and instruction, and then you see all the departments that's under the curriculum and instruction. You see the parts that's under the public information, which we'll be discussing tonight, that's under the chief technology. We have the chief financial officer, the executive director of operation, and the HR director. And you can see how I've placed all of this. There's a reason why things are the way they are. If you look at this under the superintendent, I'll put the associate superintendent HR, assistant superintendent under that, director of coordinator under that, director of PK through 12, and then chief technology. Today, technology correlates with curriculum instruction. Everything you do, you have to use technology. The other part of that is I put down is that what I'm freeing up Ms. Robinson to do is her job, PK through 12, curriculum and instruction. Because we're going into 3 systems, curriculum alignment, common planning, and articulating other pieces, then I want her to do the staff development of curriculum and instruction at all levels. I want to free her up from spending hours dealing with parents in elementary. Dr. Arnell be doing that. Ms. Barry will be doing high school, and Miss Grady would be doing middle school. There's a reason why I formed that, and to do this, because we have, with the new curriculum changes, the new teachers, and new things changing, someone has to be on top of all this. And Ms. Robinson has to organize and be on top of this. In the meantime, I'm over there in the HR department, in the other building with HR, business, PIA and all of that. I don't see what's going on in this business. We're gonna have this building, we're gonna have to do a better job, and she's gotta be organizing and monitoring this building over here to make sure that we're efficient in moving the operation. And that's her job right there. Her job is to go to each campus at each level, at elementary, and organize the 3 systems we put in place of curriculum and instruction. Middle school, she's doing a presentation. High school, she's doing a presentation to make sure that we have systems in place that's run at that school, that regardless whether a principal there or a teacher's there, the system's in place, and all they have to do to follow it. I want one person to do all the training, and that's Ms. Robinson is going to do that. So this is why I have the plan the way I have it laid out right there. So all of this is the major structure for the district, and then I'll let Ms. Howard next start covering the HR part of that right there.
I have a question.
Sure.
But this is the one you started with, the school year, 2013-14 school
That's
year.
correct, yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When it comes to Ms. Arnell,
Yes,
if I remember correctly, she was going to be the district coordinator for school improvement.
that's correct.
And it says there that, of course, school improvement only on the elementary. What happened to the middle schools and the high schools?
Okay, they've taken the funding away from that. And plus
Who is they?
the
Federal government?
federal government, yes.
So the funding is only for,
No, we don't have funding for that either. They're taking all of it away. However, all our schools met, so we don't have the funding. All our schools met expectations, so we don't have the funding anymore.
so we don't need this district coordinator for school improvement? Is that what you're saying?
No, we need it, but I think we need it more in elementary, but she will help out in secondary, other areas. But I have Miss Grady doing the middle school, and Miss Barrett doing the secondary.
But when you talk about 17 elementary campus principals, you're not talking about that she's in charge of the
No,
principals?
no,
Okay,
no.
that I wanted to clarify.
Miss Robinson will be doing the evaluations for all elementary principals.
Okay.
Okay, but if Miss Robinson is doing staff development for secondary, middle school, and high school, then that leaves the elementary free, so I gotta have someone monitoring and following through with all our curriculum instruction. Yeah, and that's all I'm doing right there. Yes, sir.
Okay, Jim, go ahead, sir.
Uh-huh. We've talked about it, and we haven't moved on that. That's the best, because of, we gotta get facilities. With overcrowding, we need to add more facilities, because that's the key to this whole thing, and doing that. Yes. Yes.
Is it possible, since, we're not, doing the exact way, is it possible that you could come up with another title that may be a little clearer for, and I don't know,
I know what Mr. Adair, I know what you're talking about. I cannot change anything the board has done. The board, we went to the board, they approved that title. That has to be done through this program review, and Ms. Robinson is gonna recommend that doing her portion of curriculum instruction. So I can't do that unless we bring it to the board. I gotta leave it exactly the way the board approved us. But I'm just moving people around so y'all know.
and on the chief of police with the arrow, what does that mean?
Okay, that means that by law, the chief has to be under me. That's the new HB 5 law. The chief has to be under superintendent. However, she's still, what Mr. Kirshner used to be under, he's still having his training and all that, make sure these things are going on.
Just supervisor.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then, when your line that you have across,
Mhm.
Jackson's not under both?
No,
They're both just directly to you?
that's correct.
Okay. All right.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay, sir, go ahead.
Alrighty, so I guess we'll jump into human resources. Hopefully you all had a chance to look at the program review documents that I have presented to you. I just want to discuss briefly some of the highlights of the packet. Our metrics are very good for this year so far. Our hiring and exits are pretty consistent with what we've seen, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. One thing I did want to draw attention to is that we have significantly increased our recruiting efforts, especially this year in the area of bilingual. We're going to actually be heading into the Valley to do some significant recruiting down there, so I think that will be good for us, especially as our dual language program is spreading out through the district. Our employee programs and under employee services and benefits, things are looking really good. And when I say good, I mean controlled. We are seeing a slight increase right now in our workers' comp claims, but that's a good thing because that means that people are reporting incidents. They don't always necessarily result in a cost to the district, but the first key to safety management is to have people be in the habit of reporting, even if they think it's insignificant. That way there's no liability coming on us 10 years from now. So we see some good things there. I did want to kind of draw some attention, though, to the figures that you were provided as cost impact to the district. The program cost for FMLA, that would mean what the district pays out in leave. So when anybody is on FMLA, they can use their leave and exhaust their leave on that through that program. So year to date, this is what we have spent as far as people being out on leave due to medical reasons. Under our workers' compensation, I probably should have put there that this is a cost estimation for the year. Based upon the number of claims we're getting, the types of claims we're getting, we're estimating that it'll be in that ballpark area, but it's not necessarily final till we see the total numbers for the closeout of the year. So that's kind of a projection.
And you're talking about the 778?
Yeah, the workers' comp.
And that's the one we fund
Yes,
ourselves,
we're
right?
self-funded. Mhm.
Yes, and normally you let us know whether we need to.
Right, this is a program where for the past 3 years we stopped contributing to it because it had a lot of money in there.
Correct.
But this year we put a budget in of $750,000.
Okay.
So we'll monitor, what we did is we took the rates way down, kind of half of what we were doing before. So it's not growing as quickly anymore, we're just trying to maintain it now. So at the end of the year, we'll review it again, see where it's at, and see if the rates should be adjusted for next year. And if so, then we'll ask for a little bit more money in the budget to be able to cover that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
FMLA,
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, the understanding that they take their leave first,
Mhm.
all of it, or just a certain amount of hours?
No, they have to exhaust all of their leave. So whatever they have on the books, they can take it. In basically, what they'll do is they'll use their state, then their local, and then they exhaust it. So if they have anything else outside of that, it's exhausted.
So they have to use it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Our wellness program has done great this year. We've seen a lot of
Yes.
really
How did you want to handle the questions? You want me to write them down and wait till you get to the end? You want to do it by page, by section? How do you want to handle it?
It might be easier just by page,
Yeah.
right? Since
Go ahead.
they're in that page, right?
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Okay. On the FMLA, when you were speaking of, so this cost of $396.67 is really a zero cost because we
Yeah.
were going to pay their leave anyway,
If they used it, correct.
if they used it.
Mhm.
And so, the actual cost is what we have to pay to hire a substitute or a person to
Correct.
fill their position.
Correct.
Because while they're on FMLA, we cannot hire.
Correct.
Okay. So can you tell me off the top of your head what caused the 10 denied leaves?
Sometimes they don't qualify based on things such as they're not a primary caregiver. So, for example, if they're trying to take leave for somebody in their family, they don't qualify as the immediate family, so it would be denied. Other reasons that it's denied is because it didn't meet the credentials or criteria for the federal government. So, for example, the person did not work 1,250 hours in the 12 months prior to the claim, or they have not been employed with us for 12 months. And so that's usually the most common reason that they're denied.
So, can you tell me, for the people that you have 2 people in this program, in benefits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
But one that manages the
one
FMLA.
manages this,
Mhm.
one manages FMLA, and then one manages workers' comp?
Yes.
Okay. So do we have money set aside to send them to continuing ed, or as the law changes,
Absolutely.
They can go on the conference or wherever they need to go.
Absolutely, and actually, I make sure that all 3 staff members involved in that office go through training annually. The nice thing is that when they go to their paraprofessional training each year, it is provided annually there.
Who does that?
It's through TASB, and they go to the state, and they'll go to Austin for 2 days for trainings.
Okay. And then going over to the workman's comp side, can you tell me why it says as of 1/31?
Yes. Basically, what we do is we are getting quarterly reports from our third-party administrator on this. So the data that is reflected is as of the December, January deadline there.
So what does record only mean?
So that's what I was saying. This is a great thing. That's a very good thing. That means that teacher A walked into the door, didn't really hurt herself, but she went ahead and reported that she walked into the door. The reason that that's very important is because we can monitor the trends. What if 10 people walk into that door? Is there something wrong? Is it not lit? Things like that. So it's great when they report.
So the only ones that were actual is the 143 and the 12. When I say actual, where we had to do
They're
something
right.
with
They're
some action.
yeah. That they've had medical treatments and
What
are
does open and closed mean?
open and closed means that an individual has been returned to work. So basically that we opened these cases and closed these cases, so it's totaling 12. And so it just means that when it initiates, it opens. When it closes, it
So
closes.
if they're closed, they're no longer on any type of workman's comp.
Correct. It does not mean that it doesn't boomerang back, though. Sometimes, like,
You're not
let's say,
gonna go back to work and say,
oh,
hip's
yeah,
hurting
my
again.
hip's hurting again. Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty good though. So you're saying we only have 52 medical open and we only have 6 disabilities.
Right, and of those 52 open, some of them are ongoing, that maybe somebody had a significant injury 10 years ago, and the district is still responsible for certain portions of that.
And so you have people in place who had a problem with several years ago that are monitoring to ensure that
Yes.
they're not out on workman's comp for us and they're working.
Yeah, we, myself and Dr. Black, in addition to Lori Diamond, go in quarterly, and we review by name every medical packet, every case, to make sure that, even down to, why are they being prescribed Tylenol? So they're watching it that close.
And then we have some outside people too. TriStar Risk Management, who's our group person, and then Scott Irott, who was an individual who used Alamo Insurance to help us with the program, also reviews all that. And Scott is excellent at trying to identify those kind of situations and
He
discriminate.
finds that money. Or if he thinks somebody should be working and they're not, he gets them to work.
When you talk about denied or denied, are we talking about a medical doctor saying actually they don't qualify or whatever?
Correct.
It's not that HR say, no, you're
Right, so,
denied.
no.
It's not true what you're.
It would be that somebody says they have a back injury because they picked up a book.
Oh,
And then
okay.
they go back and they do the research and find out that that person had back surgery 5 years ago before they worked here.
Oh, okay, so that's how that, okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay, gentlemen?
Does safety cover some of our safety plan, what we have in place, safety briefings, how many accidents, all that stuff? Is that something?
We work cooperatively with operations, especially for the manual trades.
Report in the operations section?
No.
Okay, so
No.
Dr. Mack, if you could give us an idea of our safety for the district?
The trainings provided.
What
Well,
the training is?
yeah, I can give you that. That is reported in what has been reported. So we've had 125 reported, and then with our total,
So even if they didn't ask for workers' comp?
right, they are still reporting.
They just had an accident, that's listed under workers' comp?
Yes.
Okay. You might want to not put that under workers' comp, because it makes our workers' comp number look higher.
We actually have to for reporting
You have
purposes
to
to the
say-
insurance agencies.
Really?
Mhm.
So we had 125 accidents up to January?
No, the total is more than 125. Of the total, 125 were,
143 plus
right,
12.
right.
And that's from the opening of school till now?
No, this is running from a January to January calendar.
Okay, so what program, what time limit are we looking at on is everybody gonna be operating on the same time schedule, or do I need to?
Certain programs do and certain programs don't.
This is because of the HR and workman's comp, this is, from January to January, but then, the rest of the program
FMLA is
review,
from, is the school year.
School year, but the rest of them is gonna be from beginning from July first and,
All the rest of them will be the school year, just this one little section?
yeah, we can, yes.
Okay. This is kind of hard if I'm trying to see, are we accident prone? You know, do we have good safety management? And maybe,
I think that our trends will show that we do have good safety management. This year, we are seeing a slight increase, but we had 2 significant injuries this year that drove up these numbers.
Okay, because I haven't been down, like, in previous years, I went to the warehouse, I went to maintenance, and they had little signs that
Oh,
said
yeah.
how many safety-free days, and it seems, we've had quite a few bus accidents this year, and so I'm just kind of wanting to look at the safety aspect, so I'll maybe ask some more when Mr. Kirshner is here about the safety.
Let the record reflect, ma'am, that, Ms. Williams and, or you noted it, and Mr. Macias have joined us. Okay, we're on page, 1, thank you.
Okay, moving on to page 2. Our employee wellness program, we are really proud. Within the 2 years that we've implemented the program, we went from just having health screenings to having, we bring out a mobile mammography unit that does screenings here in the district. We've also this year introduced Diabetes Academy. It's held twice, and we also this year introduced, we already contract with employee assistance providers for counseling, and we actually have had them come in this winter to do several trainings in our transportation department of how to deal with grief and stress during the holidays. So well received that we've had other departments asking. So I just think that we can attribute that because our TPA is providing us, in association with Blue Cross Blue Shield, a part-time wellness coordinator. And I am excited to share with you all that I was just informed actually today that Judson has had such success with our program that we will be getting at no cost to us a full-time coordinator effective in April. So
Oh, very
we've
good.
been sharing with Northside, so we're really excited.
I have
Okay.
a question, but it's more of a general question, I guess. Wellness stuff, especially with my background, I mean, it's super important, especially if this is so much of this is preventative, which is awesome. But some of the numbers you share in here seem really low for the number of staff we have, so what are we doing to advertise? Because,
Yeah.
4 times a year to only have 89 people on
Yeah.
it, it's an awesome program, but it seems like it's very underutilized.
Okay, so for the, and because it's new, people don't realize you can use a mobile unit to do things like
Right,
that.
well, I
but-
didn't know
So
that
what we're
part of it.
doing is, what we've done is we use all of our kind of like electronic ways of communicating. So it goes into 2 publications, the Monday Memo and also our Educator Connection, so that's like a Monday, Friday communication. I also send out invitations district-wide, and we've also established for our employees on the intranet a wellness page. So it's current with like the upcoming events and things going on in the district. Unfortunately, it's hard, especially with the mobile unit, because they're there during school hours. So it's usually going to be campuses that are within proximity. But we've seen an increase. So this coming year, we're going to ask for more sessions so that we can provide that.
Sounds good, yeah, I mean, a lot of this I wasn't aware of, and I usually hear, especially stuff like this, like
Yeah.
extra country tune, I haven't heard about, so I'm sure that it's, just more for the news.
Well, and it's so new too. So.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Okay. You all are aware of our benefits plans. I don't have to share that with you again of who we're currently under, but we've had some interesting things happen this year that are abnormal to us. One of which is that we've had a digital or an electronic data problem with Blue Cross Blue Shield and our Benefits Connects program. This was one of the first times that I ever had to invoke a team, and we met with everybody at the table together to resolve the matter and to get some accountability from the providers. I think that you will find that Blue Cross really stepped up to the plate, sent communications to all of our employees, reissued cards. They just had, I guess during the winter it was really harsh up in the north, and they had just massive impact from that and really could offer no other excuses. But we've seemed to work out those kinks. You may also be aware that this week we were notified through an employee that Aetna has somehow had a data breach. And we don't know how widespread that is. I can tell you as of today, we have only had 3 employees, of Judson employees, report that they were caught up in the mail fraud scam. Any questions about benefits?
I have not a question, but, well, let me just say at the beginning, for my fellow board members, I intend to really review the program, so if no one else has any questions tonight, I'm sure I'll ask a question for them. On our cafeteria plan, how are employees advised? Is there something that can be done? Because I'm looking at all of this as a way to increase morale and to help our employees feel valued. So the cafeteria plan, and I may be going into Ms. Aldana's area, so I'm talking about y'all, is a way that they can put their money in pre-tax dollars and not pay so much. Do they really understand that? You know, are all of our employees participating? Is there something we can do to help them to understand, or even with the new high deductible that they have? I noticed you had put down the flexible spending account. Do our employees really understand that? Is there something we can do?
Well, I think that that's definitely an education piece, that we go through that as part of the open enrollment process. Has been the trend, though, is that the staff are not coming to those meetings. So we may have to make them mandatory again, so that people have more of an awareness of those programs, and that might be something we should consider again.
Yeah, I just wanted to, kind of highlight that. And then, what is the employee assistance program you have down here?
The Employee Assistance Program is, we contract with 2 professional licensed counselors outside of the district who provide free counseling to our employees if they should need the service. It's a benefit to them. So basically, we negotiated a flat rate. We don't know who the employee is. They're assigned a number, but they can have up to 5 free sessions if they are dealing with a personal or professional issue that they need to talk to somebody.
They've had this some time.
Yeah.
My wife was working.
Yes.
But back then, you have so many hours with the council, I mean, within the plan.
Yes, yeah. And it's, again, we're kind of calling on them to do other things, like come in and speak to our employees, so we're kind of trying to get the most bang for the buck there. So moving on, compliance, we're looking great. We are right now focusing on being compliant for all of the changes regarding HB5. Impact to my department will mean that we are going to be looking at some certifications a little differently and notifying.
Ms. Howard, I'm
Yes,
sorry to
that's
interrupt
okay.
you. Before you get too far into compliance, we have some questions I'd like to back up on.
Okay.
In terms of the employee wellness program, I'll give you kudos on the IU Academy. I mean, obviously, working in that field, you know how prevalent that is in our community. The employee committee, I guess, that helps pick the benefits for the insurance, would that be part of the benefits component?
It's actually going to be in our district involvement in the back, but yes,
but-
this is all driven by a health insurance
So
committee.
when you get to it later, then I'll mention how that plays.
Okay.
But the employee committee then picks benefits specifically? Is that
Yes,
what they do?
correct.
And I guess through the years, I've heard of issues of disengagement or not enough time to review the policies. And basically, it's been, here's the plan, you got, 5 minutes to give us a check mark. I'm not into the management of that. That's not my role, but can you speak a little bit? Is there some validity to that? or-
Actually, I would disagree. We've had more participation in our district health insurance committee than ever before. For the past several years, I've just seen an increase in the amount of people becoming involved. In addition, this last year selection process, we allowed them to actually take plan information home with them. Because it's very difficult, the way it was being presented before had data that if you knew people in the district, you may have been able to make connections that, oh, that's so-and-so's case, to discuss why certain rates are going higher and what have you. So this year, I worked with the Alamo Insurance Group to present the information in such a way that we could let them walk out of the building with it, and they did. So they were able to take it home before we actually had the votes and made the decision. Another thing that I've done to allow them more time is that for the past 2 years, we've conducted the voting electronically, so they don't have to vote in the presence of others. They can do so privately and online.
Now,
So-
when was this cycle? Was there an employee committee that looked over benefits?
Mhm.
And when, what was the timeline?
All of that begins in August, and then we bring that to the school board for you all to make, actually, the whole process begins in May. So we have like a first meeting in May, and then to kind of give them, this is what we look like they're going to be offering us, and then when we come back, that actual bid process is in August there.
And so then that happened this year. There was a May committee meeting, and then August, they convened.
And they look at the actual plans, then they submitted vote, and then I submit a recommendation to the board.
And suspect the committee's probably selected sometime in March.
Actually, it's a campus-based decision, so usually they just ask for a volunteer. However, it is open to whomever would like to participate, and we allow the campuses to actually make that decision in August, so that we know who we're communicating with throughout the year.
That addresses that question.
Okay.
Thank you. And then backtracking, in terms of your recruitment, personnel metrics, have we been monitoring our success rates for these recruiting positions?
Yes, and as I stated before you arrived today, is that we have significantly increased our recruiting efforts. Obviously, due to a couple of years ago going through the RIF and what have you, we really isolated to just local community colleges, or to the community here, our colleges here. We've now made huge efforts to go outside of those areas, and especially to target high critical needs groups. So, yes, we do have and are able to track through our new Talent Ed system if a candidate who we pre-screened and brought to the district for the principal's interview was actually selected.
And what is a ballpark dollar amount that we spend on recruiting?
I would say that this year will be significantly higher, but in our budget we set approximately $7,000 aside, but we have not used that.
One other question there, sorry if someone else asked, but for the hires and exits, could we get a breakdown of the teachers, and because we just have numbers that we and hires and exits?
Oh, okay, so you need the exit numbers as well?
Yeah, or just hires and, both of them.
Okay,
just a
so
breakdown.
up above, under the active employees and stuff, I'd be happy to give you a breakdown of that. You do get it monthly as part of the
Oh, I
personnel
understand.
report,
Yeah.
but yeah, no problem.
But I'm misreading this. If we hire 373, but 362 exited, but not the new hires. This is just overall district.
Correct,
Okay.
correct,
And that includes anybody?
Right.
Not just professional?
correct.
Yeah, that's why I was just saying, I know.
And we're going to talk about that. If I've got some actual great data about our retention
Okay.
trends, and so you'll
Oh,
be
okay.
able to kind of see some of that
Okay.
there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sir, you talk about the Diabetes Academy. You want to go ahead and tell them next Saturday?
Oh, we've already we just sent out the communication on that today, so there is going to be a diabetes awareness event on March 25th, I think? Yeah. so-
29, March 29.
20
29.
Yeah. So anyways, we've just sent all the information out so that it will go out to our employees next week.
Thank
Yes,
you.
it's on
Thank
our
you.
list. Okay. If I can move on again with our compliance, we're doing well. Certification is good. EEOC looks great. This is not a reporting year for us, but I did go ahead and give you all an annual report in October. Our compliance training has been automated, so it's a paperless system, and we've seen a great improvement in the response to that and everybody getting on the ball and getting that done.
And you mentioned, Ms. Howard, that there's going to be a change in certification. What are you talking about?
Yes, under HB 5, they are changing what are going to be some of the requirements for the degrees at the high school. And so that it's really going to impact some of our CTE teachers because they now may be able
That's
to
what I
teach
thought.
math. And so they have to be highly qualified to teach math. And so in order for the student to get the credit, we have to ensure that those teachers are going to meet those expectations.
And if they're already there, there'll be some training and like in Region 20 or
Well,
the certification or the colleges?
just
I'm pretty sure something's going to come out.
Preliminarily, right now, we don't anticipate this is going to be a big deal.
Oh,
The
okay.
people that are there are very highly qualified.
Oh,
so
okay.
most of them can qualify 2 times over. So.
Okay.
I have 2 questions in that part.
Oh,
When do you think we're gonna have the process, Dr. Rankin, determining staffing needs by when you think you'll have that complete?
Explain, staffing needs? Right.
Yeah,
It's
and
done.
you said you're in the process of determining the staffing needs as a result of House Bill
Mhm.
5.
That was to determine, like, for example, some of the languages changed and that sort of thing.
When
At-
do you think you'll have that complete?
It's done.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Okay.
So staffing allocations have been out to the campuses for quite some time.
And then can you explain to us E-Verify?
Yes. E-Verify is an in-house application, technology application that we use with our employees. So instead of having them, go to a training, watch a video, sign a piece of paper that they were there, they can now get online, have the information before them, click that they acknowledge the receipt of the information, and then it's digitally reported back to me so that I can keep a database of everybody that's compliant. Yeah, so it was written in-house for us. It's a great system, but it takes us paperless. Our substitute program is about average of what we've seen before. I would say that our absences are slightly higher this year at this point, but that could level out of our employees and our subs. It has been quite difficult to get some of the absences filled this year, but student teachers in the district, our numbers are up from last year. We are this spring is the largest spring we've had in 3 years. And we've been really working with Texas A&M, San Antonio, and some UTSA to place student teachers here. So,
Go ahead, sir. No, I know Mr. Cellier had to,
About that piece,
yes.
we got to bring down last year, we saw it into a substitute room, that's still, the substitute days we call it, those districts, that's still the trend, or if you switch to
it's you always have your Monday, Friday folks, and that's where the most of it comes from. But again, we have been monitoring the type of business leave, so if we can afford to offer it outside of the school day, we do. Okay, but there are some trainings that just have to be done during the school day. Yeah. But the increase that you're seeing is not due to school. It is due to correct. Yeah. But we do have things and structures in place so that they just cannot not show up. They have to ask permission. They have to get leave approvals. The principal can't deny if it's a testing day, that kind of thing. Probably about the same. Mm-hmm. 1 point, or 1.6.
Did you have something to? Okay, coming back to Mr. Cellier, the only way I think that might help having to use subs during the week for training is we would have to approve some type of, what do you call that pay?
Extra duty pay.
Incentive or sometime, what he said, hey, we're gonna have the training on Saturday, but you're gonna be given a $50 stipend or whatever.
I'll go.
Now, I don't know whether it's still legal or not, but it would have to be on a budget. Maybe that's something that we could talk about and maybe put it in the budget and see how that works, sir. No, but I'm talking about training, to do the training on a Saturday instead of during the week. That's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
It's less than paying a sub.
It would be, well, look around, they can make a study around the other districts.
We can look at that, but really, again, I'll reiterate that the significant absences are not for trainings. They're for people just not coming to
The
work.
majority
I'd
is
like
just,
to know the numbers. What are the numbers that we're paying for subs for training? How many training days,
We would have to break that out separately, but I do produce for the campuses on a monthly basis. They are provided through their administrator toolbox access to all of their attendance reports. And so they can see what the reasons people are putting in for absences, when those absences are taking place. It's a very detailed report, and they get that monthly.
I know. That's why I wanted to see it when we get ready to do our budget.
that's when
Yeah.
you ask about it.
Well, I think if it's training days, I think Mr. Salinas has a great idea.
Yeah, but it's not training days.
Not that many.
Yeah.
And there is something you can do about it, you're just not gonna like it, and employees are gonna hate y'all for it. And that would be that the state
Charge
gives them
back.
5 days, the district gives them 5 days, the district can take them away, so we're not giving you any days, just use the state days. And right away, you take away 5 days that they can use, that's paid. But you talk about morale,
Yeah.
that'll kill it, like that.
The other districts give those days.
Oh,
Everybody
yes.
does, yes.
Yeah, we wanna be
yeah.
competitive. I had a question.
I just wanted to let y'all know.
Yes, yes.
You know,
Not all of districts do that. They just give you state days. They don't.
Some
give-
districts make their teachers pay for their own
Yeah.
subs.
Yeah, they should take
No,
those.
that's Somerset, but they're going back. They're going back where they're gonna get it. Oh, yes.
when we get ready for the budget, I would like a comparison given to us of substitute pay, between the
Yes.
local people.
Okay.
We haven't given the sub raise in a few years.
Yeah.
Since you asked for it.
I still have subs in heart, Mr. Holden. And, I wanna commend you on, the paperless, the sub program as well as,
Yes.
getting their email addresses for communications. I think we're really improving in technology. And also where they've been given access and district accounts, because those were some of the things they were about. And so, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
all
for-
employees have it.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. And then, there was one other thing with the substitutes. Oh, and how is that going with the retired people?
With retired substitutes. So I sent for your information for board meeting, but I'd be happy to share with you. We are seeing that we're getting a lot of retired subs back. They're just not, they know that they can't get into a position that's vacant and be there every day. If somebody's out on medical leave, they can do a long-term assignment, but they can't do an actual vacancy. So most of them stay under 20 hours a week anyways. But if they do go into that scenario where they're on a long-term, they're completely fine with TRS.
Well, my question is not toward, the TRS part. I know we have one guy that manages that program, and you have to tell me if this isn't legal or not. But when you're managing money and you're sub in PE, is there a way that we know if we're hiring someone that we're gonna pay
Yes.
the regular amount versus hiring the retired teacher, and we're gonna pay a lot more?
Yes, we do.
And can we manage that?
We
where-
do manage that,
Okay.
because we definitely want, when necessary, we don't want a certified teacher going in and subbing, answering phones. We'd want them in a classroom, so we do manage that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
But
know we
some,
had that little roll system
Right.
that it was just
Yeah.
rolling and calling.
no,
so if
he
you have
can,
a lot of
yeah,
retired teachers.
he can set it up in the ASOP system to only call certain subs, for certain jobs.
Oh, very good.
District involvement, the major highlight that I want to share with you all that I've been very proud of is that we've established the Building Bridges program in our district. And that has, what that basically means. Oh, yes, that's okay.
But I had a question about subs before you get on to that. This standard, I've heard some complaints from parents that some of the subs we have in the classroom are really not teaching our kids. It reminds me of back in the day that you group around with the substitutes. And that's more of an issue than long-term subs. How are we evaluating these long-term subs that I know we have in place, that they're doing the work and not putting our kids on?
Well, there are parameters that are in place. You can't have a long-term sub over 30 days in a classroom that is not certified. So that's the first mechanism that's in place.
So you can have an uncertified teacher for 30 days?
Yes, but if we know, when we know we're going to have a long-term absence, Mr. Macias, we place a certified teacher in there because we know it's going to be long-term. So anything over 5 to 7 days would be considered long-term. We want somebody certified in there.
That wouldn't have to do with the HR department,
It does.
because she hires, that's the campus principal's decision. That HR should know, they know nothing about that, and they turn it in, but that's the principal should be monitoring that right there. As a principal, if you held accountable for those scores, the academic, the learning for those kids, you should be monitoring and be sending written documentation to the HR department. I need to interview some people, give me a list of people that are available, I should be doing that. And a lot of times, you have to be very careful. We want to put HR in a position that is not her position to do that. It's the principal's position to do that. That's their job. And then we have the assistant superintendent associate. They're supposed to monitor that. But even they would not know. They don't know who's out and who's at. That principal should be monitoring that stuff daily.
And send the letters.
And the letter. It should be coming from the principal, not HR. It should come from the principal.
Well, is there something where board may need to be involved in pouring that process up to make sure the principal are selected for
No.
full certified?
The board can't do that, and the superintendent can't manage that, no, because you cannot be telling them, what we can do is advise them and recommend some things that they do. We can do that.
And they
you know,
do
we do
have
that.
access to.
They have access to
We
the-
give them,
Yeah,
so like I said, if we know it's gonna be a long term, and the reason that we'll know it is because they'll send us notification, this is a long term. I know who's going out on leave. We provide, these are only certified subs that you can choose from. We're not gonna let you choose from these other ones because we know it's gonna be a long time, okay? Now, the weird situations are when somebody goes out, we think they're gonna be back in 4 days, and then we find out they're not. Then we have to switch out the sub.
So, if you understand, the principal, I mean, we're not gonna just hire someone off the street with their friends, just list.
That's
You
correct.
have to go through HR.
That's
to
correct.
Even given the clearance to work in our district.
Yes.
They have to already be on our sublet.
It has to be cleared.
They have to already be.
Right, and we would actually nullify the fact that they may bring somebody aboard long-term that doesn't have the certification, because they have to go through our HR.
Right.
no,
You
no.
don't understand.
Yeah.
No, okay. Well, that's why I'm asking.
Okay.
Clarify with you.
The HR department supplies you with personnel. The principal has access, they can have access to select and know the certification or the personnel in a database that they can interview and select from. It has all that information in there, and they do that.
We used to get the names of all the subs and what they were certified on. Do they still do that?
Yes,
Yes.
they have a
Oh,
database.
but
They have
it's
a
a database. They
The
can log
database
into
does
that.
The principal does to the database.
But the principal passed it on to the VP, so
That's-
that's why I'm saying,
yeah.
I used to call a lot of subs.
I mean, we're out of HR, but just for Mr. Messia's understanding, the teacher that's leaving is usually, when they know they're not gonna be there long term, I'm speaking primarily to the high school, the teacher selects who they want, and they put their name in to the subsystem, and they tell the principal, because I was not a certified teacher, but I did long-term, because I was a military instructor. But the principal sent a letter home, which is required by law, saying there is a
Certified.
non-certified teacher in the classroom with the class to the parents. And the parents have the right
30
to
days.
withdraw,
They're gonna be there for 30 days.
yeah, they have the right to withdraw their kids from that class with the non-certified.
And that letter is standardized, and it is available in the administrator's toolbox, so they do
The
use it.
principals aren't doing a good job of that, Dr. McElroy is saying.
Well, I need to get on my assistant associate to make sure that happens.
Well, thank you for clarifying.
Yes,
that.
sir.
I guess one other question about the benefits.
Sure.
One other question about the benefits. The reason I'm asking, I guess, to put it out there, I'm hoping that we can evaluate issues benefits for next cycle, because one of the things I'd like to look at when we get further into our budget discussion is adding more to our benefits. I feel that that might be a competitive advantage for us. So, having committee input this cycle will be very important to kind of help select that. But, so it should start again in May, and look at something through August, and then we can have the implemented, I think, we selected in October, roughly. So that would be, I'd be highly interested in seeing what that would look like this year.
Okay.
That's why I
Sure.
asked.
So I'm gonna kind of go quickly here, but one of the initiatives that we've been very proud of in Human Resources is our Building Bridges program. And what that is that I have, not just I, but Dr. Mackey as well have established a forum, basically is what it is, with our teacher organization that we're meeting on the first of every month, the first Thursday of every month. It's open to anybody who wants to come. You don't just have to be in a teacher organization. So our first meeting this past month was wonderful because we had teachers just come. And started last month. Actually, the initiative to do this has been probably since January, and the work since, December.
No,
Yeah, so we've been meeting with the organization leadership before then, and have been having meetings, planning what we would like this forum to look like. We've met with them for lunches and a couple of dinners, and just really got to know each other in a social kind of relaxed setting, so that we could really start working cooperatively together. And I see some really great things coming forward from this. It was very, very well received by the members of AFT. We had a great showing of them. But it's not going to just be about, hey, bring your complaints. It's going to be about, let's talk about ways to celebrate our employees. AFT asked if they could help at the sub recognition this year and hand out hot dogs and cake to folks. So we're very proud of that. And then it'll just reflect all the different committees that I facilitate for the district. Any questions?
I do have who, and where. So maybe at some point you could share with me. I'd like
Yeah.
to see if you have different people or all the same people.
No, they're all different people. And actually, you requested that report last year at the end of the year, so I'd be happy to give that to you again this year. So,
And then when you get down to retirement and service and board of banquets, where is that planning on being held this year?
well, our,
Ma'am, I'm gonna overrule Ms. Adair because that's going to be my question.
oh, okay.
I'm just,
I know.
thank you.
Okay.
But
we on top of
there
this.
was one here, stipend committee.
Uh-huh.
Are you talking about the stipends that we normally give, like the one we gave last year or something?
No, this is basically like our athletics, our music, our fine arts,
that's
our
what I'm talking about.
coaches.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So basically, what I do is I have an annual committee who reviews all of the stipends, makes recommendations, suggestions. Last year, no action was taken on any of their recommendations because we gave a raise last year. But I still want people to feel like they have that voice and that you are at least hearing it.
And we'll be presented with that.
Yes, and you
Okay.
were as part of the budget last year as well,
Right.
but we
Oh, okay.
decided not to address any changing of the stipends.
Oh, okay.
Before you leave stipend, can you please look at the stipend for the, what's it name? The middle school drama.
The theater arts.
Yes, please.
Mhm.
Because the middle school drama people, theater arts, are spending a lot of after-school time with their programs, and we deleted them, and I still continue to hear about that.
Okay, I can assure you, and I actually provided a report early this year. The theater arts individuals, the way we now structure the stipends for them, they are making more money than they did years previous. And the one in particular that you're discussing is making, I think, $300 more. So I don't,
As a salary?
for stipends, because now they're eligible for more stipends. All of the UIL competitions that they take them to and things like that.
So instead of it being one thing, it's broken down and then it's added all together, the same to make it very small.
Well, they're making more than they did before. So the math is not in alignment with the complaint.
Yeah, I might have to actually call some people.
Okay. The next thing that I'd like to share with you all is, oh, yes.
No, but
Okay. Yes.
Regarding the business involvement, are these the extent of the enforced committees?
That I facilitate, but no, not of all the committees in the district. No, sir.
And stipend committee's been around, which one's been, I guess, the longest, the health insurance one?
Actually, the sick leave bank committee and health insurance committee have been around the longest.
Sick leave, and which one, the health?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever surveyed students for their experience on the, just for your own feedback?
No, sir.
I mean, it's tough, you have a closed group, but just to get a general, what can we do to improve the committee, we have to make helpful, taking it to the next level. They have a suggestion.
I think the way that when I do facilitate, it's a very open forum, so we have a lot of communication about that openly. And if anybody wants to communicate with me privately, they'll send me an email, what have you. But I think that the involvement numbers will reflect that people are are encouraged by being able to be allowed to be involved.
And since, if you could remind me of this building bridges one, I'd like to attend one of those meetings.
Sure, they're going to be on the first Thursday of every month, and the district office.
It's here, but, you know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Ms. Howard, it's not on your list, but going to employee morale for a second, new employees. Can you tell us a little bit when a new employee is hired, what happens? And I'll just even tell you directly, some of the new employees say that when they come to our briefings, we don't let them take anything home to go over with their spouse, that they have to sign everything right then, so can you kind of tell me what happens with our employees when they come into the?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So just so that you know, when somebody is offered a position in our district, they receive an email within an hour or two of the offer, and that email contains all of the benefit information that they need to review before the hiring process. So they are provided a website they go to, and they do pre-processing. So basically, they can do all of like the compliance information. They are also provided links to access the health insurance information, and so they can see that all
They don't
beforehand.
have the fees of like,
Yep.
they go there, they'll see if
The
they got a
plan,
husband and a kid.
yep, the
what
plan
it's gonna cost
makeup,
them.
exactly,
Okay.
and the cost. So that's given to them, at the time of the job offer. So
Okay.
that is always going to be prior to their new employee orientation. So some of them have that information 2 weeks at minimum, very rarely do we get somebody a job offer and say, come next day. Maybe that's once a month. But for the most part, people have that information a minimum of 1 to 2 weeks before their NEO.
So then when they show up, do they bring that information?
No, they don't. Well, yes and no. The information is also, our orientation process is conducted in a computer lab, so they're able to access the information right there in front of them. But in addition, they have certain portions of that information that we ask them to print out and bring with them to the orientation process so that we know that they've looked at those things prior to coming
So
in.
you feel like really that we do give them ample time to talk to their significant
Absolutely.
other?
And ultimately, if they don't want to make a decision that day, that's perfectly fine. They can still come into our office.
They can take the paperwork home and bring it back?
There's no paperwork to
no
take. It's
paperwork, it's all
paperless.
online.
Yes, it's all online.
What if they don't have access?
That's kind of difficult to answer because they have to have access to apply with the district. And so,
Well, not necessarily. They could
They-
come to our campus.
correct.
And
Correct.
they can read their emails. We were talking about that today.
Mhm.
They can read their emails on their phone, but some of the stuff they can't see on their phone.
well, yes, and I would agree. I would agree to that. But access has not been a complaint to us. In addition, we allow them to come to the orientation early if they need to.
To go whatever.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
So I have an answer when.
yeah,
That helps. Appreciate that.
sure. And that was going to be in the accomplishments section in the back, so that we've made great efforts to improve the orientation and exit process, which I would like to state, especially for Mr. Salinas, who were interested. This year, we have completely automated the exit process and also integrated an exit survey electronically for anybody exiting our district, so they will no longer be required to come up here and check out from the district anymore. Documents will be mailed to them directly. They will just complete everything online.
So if they have any questions, payroll or something,
Oh.
they can always call or?
They can, but we've also introduced what we call an exit process brochure, what have you, that has all of the information we were presenting to them verbally in written format and emailed to them along with their survey. So they get all of that at the time they submit resignation to us.
Two questions on that. One, so where does the survey go when they come back?
It is currently coming directly to me. We're using a Google app to do that. So they don't have to log in, they don't have to use a school computer to do it. It's a Google app, so they can use it
It's
from
an
anywhere.
anonymous survey?
Actually, it's not anonymous, and there's a reason for that.
Okay.
Because we've got to use the data to be able to make change, and I need to know where that's coming from. But what is going to be done at the end of the school year after we've collected the data and report it back to the superintendent is that names will be removed. We will present it as packets for campuses without names.
Okay, now, as a military person, I don't like the mail part. If, because we're traveling, so I may resign and I'm leaving town. If it's my desire to pick up my files, is that possible?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
sometimes with the mail thing, I mean, I have a set of records from Fort Riley 20 years later that
Yeah,
haven't been found.
and some
I don't know
people,
where that's-
some people will want to, but we're trying to improve the process by allowing them to just have them mailed to them.
Okay. As long as they're able to pick them up if they decide.
And one thing I did want to highlight tonight, and I'll kind of pass the documents along this way, is with regards to our efforts of retention. I would like to share with you guys some exciting news about our trends for retention. I think that that's been really a popular discussion. The first document that you're receiving is going to be a recommendation that I've just recently presented to the superintendent. But as you'll see, over the last 3 years, we've seen an increase in the number of our paraprofessional aides who become classroom teachers. And they're staying in the district. And this year so far we've seen a phenomenal number. So I think that that's something that we should be really proud of because that's happening without a program or an incentive to make it happen.
I was going to ask about that.
But I will be asking, just
What's
short
that?
one.
Right here.
Okay. So we will be this year, just to recognize these teachers, we're going to ask this year's group of paras to teachers to join us at a board meeting just so that we can recognize them. That's huge. Some of them worked with us for 3, 4, 5, 10 years and then finally decided to take the leap. So we're really proud of that to show for the retention. The other document that you received, on the surface, if you would look at the first page, I think it's critical because it reflects the area districts, and I just picked a few of them to show retention rates. And if you looked at the rates and didn't look at any of the percentage changes, it looks like Judson's in some significant trouble, okay? However, if you look at the overall trend, you are going to see that Judson is not as significantly in trouble as it might surface appear. And the documents supporting behind you, that first page there, if you'll go to the last page, I'd like you to see the first page you saw only reflects teachers, but the last page reflects all of our employees. And take a look at some of those custodian and transportation numbers. They're coming way down. And I think that those are some areas that we've really targeted morale and improved processes and systems. But if you also look at the trend data for the campuses, across the board, you are seeing that they are coming down. And so I do think that we are going to see a good reduction this year in the loss of employees. And that's something that I think we can all be very proud of. I think giving raises and making things a little better here at Judson has made a difference. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you all because I think that that's giving me a lot of hope for this school year for our exit numbers. So.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On that page you're on,
Mm-hmm.
campus, I think,
Yes.
page 2. Say, for example, when I look at ESL, it says 1, and I can't call names in open session, but we lost a female and a male. Where are they reflected?
Well, they're not under ESL. And so it's kind of hard. This is built by budget codes, so it depends on where they're being funded from. They could have been somewhere else. I know what you're talking about, and I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so
The
where
where
would
they're
they be
being
at?
funded from. So
Are they under bilingual? There's nothing under there, it's blank.
I gave them a copy. one person you're asking about? Yeah. Yes. Mhm. Nancy, that position was funded under you. Mhm. It's been moved to under the other suit, but it was funded under you.
Under which department?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Both of those.
But they weren't funded in the same place. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Both of them from that side?
No.
Yeah, no, they, I think they need to. Okay, I'll let you out.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think I know what you're saying.
Oh.
You're saying that we didn't pay for them out of budget. Out of our budget.
Yeah, you did.
We paid from out of time.
Well, the budget is
Correct.
entitled, but it's
Yeah.
different,
It's a different budget.
Okay. Well, then-
Under
then-
somebody else.
So one of them
Okay.
came under like the federal programs and grants. That's one. And Nancy's was,
So what she's saying is they're funding out of a different source, so.
So like
if
one
they're-
would have been in federal programs and one would have been,
Yeah, but they should still be in the numbers. In other words.
I hear
If you're
you.
looking at the numbers,
Yeah.
wherever they're funded, if they were our employees
Yeah.
and they left,
Unfortunately, the technology, I can only report by the source, but we can look at cleaning that up so you can see it a little
I
differently.
think you could. Yeah, 'cause I. Mhm. Right, so if
Well,
that
they are,
person
but in a
that's
different
funded out of
place.
federal is
In
not
federal.
showing, then how many other federal are not showing when you, is what's
They're,
making me,
they're all showing somewhere in there.
okay.
But the one you're asking for in particular,
Okay, where's your department?
I think it's on the in the, under secondary curriculum.
Okay,
Human resources.
so you had one person leave this year
Mm-hmm.
and two people leave last year.
Yes,
And then in 2011-12, you have none.
correct. So this year was a retirement. Last year was a retirement and an exit.
And you don't remember who left in 2011-12? I wish you had never had anybody leave, but you had somebody leave. You weren't in charge.
That wasn't my person. It was going to be from a different location. They were still coded
All
under
right,
that
we'll talk about
location.
this offline. I don't really think that report is real good. Well, it's not clear the things that I know happened during the year.
Okay.
Your hands are tied, you understand. Go ahead, Mr.
Yes, sir.
I do appreciate the report, and obviously we reported seeing the attrition higher, and we'd like to see it. And, yeah, when you gave us a, like, wow, we're like way out there. So I understand, but I think we're working to address those issues, and some of it is just chronic. It's chronic. I mean, we're considered a middle road district, but obviously, sometimes people come here to get experience, and they move. Hey, because people come and get experience and they move on.
How's that make us a middle of the road?
Because they move on to bigger districts.
No, that makes us premier because they want to come here and work.
I'm just saying we have
Get
some
our
things
training.
to address.
I think that's the solving of the district employees.
Well, I don't consider it a middle of the road, but that's just a perception. So,
Your perception, not my perception, the rest of the people in the district.
well, unfortunately, the reality is we lose a lot of employees. Neither am I. But the problem is we lose employees.
Okay,
And the
I'll
thing
give
is-
you that.
and we
What
lose
district
them-
though?
Well, we lose a lot of
Name
employees.
me that district that doesn't employ.
We lose a lot of employees. 19.2%. That's pretty much a lot of employees.
Mr.
You're
Macias,
looking for something to hang your hat on.
No,
If-
I'm not.
Getting old.
No, I'm sorry. You can resign if you want.
I agree with
I
you.
think if you look, there's a lot of factors involved. There are a lot of factors involved, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you can align that next to compensation, benefits, you know, the things that people, they will go for money.
That's what I think is the case, obviously, and so trying to strengthen that in this district, so we don't have those losses. Combined with the more involvement that I see from the communities, I think will also strengthen that employee relationship around. Employees want to be involved, I believe. I truly believe that that's the case. But looking at there, I guess we take another look at these numbers. The fact the federal resignations or exits aren't here, I think might skew things a little from our vantage point. But we recognize it. We recognize it. We're working with it to do something about that. So that's really my point. Thank you.
The thing about the federal, and it's not being screwed, shoot the federal. If there's no funding, you don't have a position.
Sure.
There's nothing we can do about it. When they cut all this funding out, there's nothing that we can do about that. Let's see, our hands is tied when we get a lot of funding for that, and they take that away from us. There's nothing we can do about it. You know, so we get a lot of that too. So we on our programs, we're damaged in that too. So that a lot of people leave not because we want them to leave or they have to leave, it's because we don't have the funding because of the programs that we've had in the past that we don't have any longer. Whenever you start having success in passing rate, like no schools on the federal or state, then you lose a lot of funding, and that means that funding equals what? Personnel, and personnel leave, and that's why we have it. Because we have a lot more personnel funding under federal than these other districts close around here, because we're over 70% free and reduced lunch. So, and then all of a sudden, when you get a success rate, then you don't get what? You don't get the money. So that if you go get the money, you lose what? Personnel. So those numbers, even though it's high, that's not the reality in the reality world.
And I think that's why it's important, we know statistics can be made to read anyway, but I think if instead of just a large number, maybe the breakdown helps to see a truer picture, such as we have these exits because of funding cuts. Because you can't do anything about morale and funding cuts, like you said, Dr. Mackey.
No.
But when you look at them all together, you know, especially when we look at our RIP year or whatever, but if we could break out the ones that were not positions, programs, but people left for dissatisfaction or more money, then that could give you a better understanding.
Right, and I recently gave you a report for all of our auxiliary employees that have left and why they've left.
Yes.
Does
that help you?
I think it's helpful to all of us. Some of
I mean,
that
it
is
helped
out of,
us, but you more so because you're the one that's managing that.
Right, and I think that the value that we can take from those types of reports and that we do monitor that is really based on the honesty of the person when they communicate to us. And many people don't want to burn bridges. They don't want to say anything bad. They're worried that somebody's going to give them a bad reference, so they're not always truthful. It's hard to base decision-making on that type of data. But it is good for us to have at least maybe a snapshot of what's really going on out there. But there's other mechanisms, other things we can do culturally to address things like retention and things. But as far as the actual numbers go, I think that we should be encouraged by what we're seeing here.
I think some of the training that has occurred this year, when you mentioned cultural, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
The diversity, cultural responsiveness training.
Yeah, I think that has had a huge impact. I've received so much positive response on how employees feel even in their work environment. So please continue that next year.
I think that's the intention.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that's all I have for y'all tonight, unless you have any other
Well-
questions.
Yeah, well, let's come back to retirements and
Okay, he wants to know where the
service
bank
awards,
is.
10, 5, 10, or whatever.
Yes.
We used to do the 5, right? But now we don't do the 5, we just wait till 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this year, the retirement banquet, you remember the hotel that we normally
Inn
did?
Yes.
by airport.
We're gonna take it back to that venue.
But wait, why do we have to take it away? We got the same hotels here that do the same thing.
They don't have facilities
Facility
big enough.
conference-wise.
The
They don't have a
conference room.
conference
No,
room?
no, not at this side, no.
No, we don't.
Because if we go back to this style of honoring them, we allow them to bring a guest.
Yes.
We invite the principals. So remember, the 2 years that we've done it at the smaller venue, none of the administration has been a part of it. And I know.
Okay.
So, we're,
That was my concern, and if we have to put it on, I know it's in your budget,
It
but
is.
to be fair, if you feel your budget needs to go because of this situation, needs more money, we need to know.
right, and.
So that way
Yeah,
we
we
can-
went to the smaller venue because we just could not justify spending that kind of money and people were losing their jobs
Oh, okay, that
year.
was
Right.
2 years ago.
But
So-
we've built it back in, to be able to appropriately honor them, so I think that will be.
At the Holiday Inn,
That is our intent. They
To
keep
include-
jiggling our date on it, but
to
we'll
include
get
the
it done.
retirees, 10, 15,
And-
20, 25, 30.
And the service awards, yes, sir.
Okay, that was, okay, that's what you wanted to say?
Yes, sir.
The
Okay.
dress up, everybody gets dressed up.
Oh,
Well, they invite
Very
someone,
good.
and,
It's special.
really, we wanna recognize them for their dedication.
Yeah. So
Yes.
we're really glad for that.
definitely, especially the retirees.
Absolutely.
What do you say?
Good.
I'm sorry, what did you say, sir?
He wants to wear bib overalls, just wear them before
I
he
can't, gotta dress up, I can't wear my bib overalls?
What is he talking about?
You don't know what bib overalls are. Do you?
No. Are you that old? Okay, any other questions? Yes.
What's our current process, I guess, of following up if, we have grievances and we have, keep supposed to resolve the grievance? Is there, who does that follow-up? Does HR do it?
I monitor that report, yes, sir.
So, and you, I guess you monitor if it's in compliance, if whatever the ruling was, that it's followed and all that.
Yes.
How many grievances do we have left? Can we get a report?
I'm sorry, I don't have that number at the top of my head, but
I
I'd
think
be
it
happy
was
to.
less than previous years.
Mhm.
So we've seen a decrease in those being filed.
Correct.
But HR would then be responsible for that follow-up.
No, they're not responsible for it.
No, we just monitor
They just
it.
monitor.
So we handle the reporting of it.
So who's responsible?
Well, it would be at every level, has a different person responsible. So level ones are at it's the
Right.
lowest level administrator that can grant the remedy. So it's from all areas in the district.
And sometimes I forget, I'm thinking grievances, we're talking about the ones that we see as a board, but you're right, a lot of them are handled before we even see them.
Or if you ever see them, yeah,
and
correct.
So, forget about that aspect.
And not seeing them is good for the board.
Sure.
I'm talking about level 3. That means
Right,
that
but that
somewhere
is
along
still
the
being
line, somebody
reported
took
to you
care
on
of
a
it.
monthly basis. It
Good.
has been reported for over a year now on a monthly basis. Okay,
Okay, thank you, Ms. Howard.
thank you.
I know you gave us an updated budget report, I mean, your budget, how much it was gonna cost, huh?
Well, I could just tell you what we're currently expending on our budgets. For payroll, for.
Oh, no, I don't
Oh,
want to know. Pay.
no.
But you sent us one, but I
Yes,
just forgot mine.
It's in the board book.
And I was just, okay, I was
That's
gonna
okay.
say I appreciate that.
That's okay.
Because I think I'm the one that asked for it.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go to item C because business services is gonna be pretty long with a lot of questions. Let's go ahead and do technology, sir. Dr. Mackey, technology.
Mr. Young.
All right, well, I'll try to move real quick, and then if you want to stop me and ask questions, if that works for everyone.
That's fine.
So, I know we're running a little short on time. First thing we listed in our program view was our mobile app and parent center, because they work in concert with each other. So a lot of you know the mobile app. We've had great success with it. We had a district from California near Palm Springs that had a conference call, 7 of them this week. So a lot of people are interested in those things. But where the rubber really meets the road for us is the actual logins to Parent Center within the app. Where, out of the 530,000 logins to Parent Center this year, 240,000 came from the mobile side, so through the app or through a phone. So
Wow.
we're really seeing a lot of success there.
Yes.
So that's real good. And it's just, it's a way for parents to stay on top of their grades as well as students use it. So students can go in, they can also see what's going on. So it's both sides of the fence. There's a lot of other things in the app, but
I
that's
was gonna say,
the
it's
core
like,
thing.
there's so much more to it.
Yeah, there's
That's
more,
just amazing.
and even within Parent Center, it's far more than grades and attendance.
Right, well,
Yeah.
that's the other thing, yeah,
Yeah.
library books, what they eat for lunch, everything.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff in there. It's going really well. So, and our annual cost is just whatever time we put into it. So that's all we're paying. Other than we pay a small fee to Apple and Google for using their services. But We also did an app for HR in the past year. It's called Employee Manager, but they're not employees, so I'm calling it Non-Employee Manager. It's an app. We have a lot of people that don't work for Judson ISD, but they're working for Judson ISD, student teachers, contract workers, but they're not necessarily paid out of our finance system. And so we didn't want to intermingle records and possibly, have any kind of money problems. So we built a special app that HR manages those people and feeds them back into the other systems, much like our finance system does, so they can get email accounts and access applications and things like that. So HR has been really good about keeping that data in there.
The police records and all that stuff, the police checks, they're all in that part. Outstanding.
E-forms, we're continuing along with that project. It's been very successful this year. One thing that's not reflective in the data for the e-forms is they've started using student forms to track things like they've done some RTI forms and other forms. We don't have data on that yet, so that's not reflective in these numbers. But
Can we get some transcript requests in there, so electronically, transcripts and requested electronically?
well, we had looked at a system for that. I believe Mr. Gonzalez had been looking at that, and I don't know if that would be something we want to have him.
It's no more verifiable for us than it is for St. Philip College or any other college that allows you to request transcripts online. Because I've had some calls from out of state of some of our students, and, they have to get a piece of paper mailed to them, mail back for $2.
There's some easy services. We looked at it 2 or 3 years ago with Mr. Gonzalez. We probably wouldn't choose to write our own app because it's already out there. It's low cost. It's easy to implement. So,
But if y'all
at
are
Dr.
still
Mackey's
talking,
direction,
like you said,
we'll figure out
wouldn't
what to
be
do. We can bring it up.
an individual high
Yeah,
school.
we need to look at that, this technology, we need to look at electronic.
We can look at it in
Yeah,
pre-cabinet.
let's look at it
discuss
pre-cabinet, look at that and electronically.
Yes.
$450,000 today on each one, is that saving printing?
Well, we looked at a study that had been done. It was in the journal of what they said the average form cost. There's printing costs, there's filing costs, transportation costs, managing that document's cost. So I think the estimate was around $10 to $15 per form. So you can take that and you divide into there. So you might be talking 40,000 forms or
So
something.
that costs $25 each year included in the
Right.
But I believe
Well, and we saw a presentation today, and I don't know if I believe their numbers, but they said the average information worker spends half their time searching for
Searching.
documents. So there is a cost.
Paper.
Yep. Well, and digital even.
Very good.
This next page, we have a customer satisfaction number, satisfaction with our department and the service work we're doing for our employees. We've been tracking that for a couple of years now, and the numbers were great last year. We sent out this past year, or so far today, we've sent out 18,500 surveys, and our rating this year rose to 4.78 out of 5. And we measure on 5 or 6 different numbers, so we think we're doing a good job. We're still trying to do better because that's always our goal, and we're trying to service those incidents and tickets faster than we ever have before. So.
I get good responses from that.
Yeah, it's been going well. We implemented a new system, which I'll talk about in a minute back here, and that's, I think, helped with our turnaround time. We've also implemented in the past year, and more on the back end, the instructional side is still working on this, but Google Apps for Education, which creates accounts in Google for all students and staff. Students have email and apps to collaborative documents, file stores. Staff just have access to do the collaboration. We still have their email here on our servers. But that's a real new thing. It's one of those things I think you'll see increasing push out of instructional technology for it. The one thing it really works really well with is there's an increasing adoption of some Chromebooks at some of our campuses, and that ties directly into this right here. So it's a neat project, and a lot of districts are using this. I mean, this is not unique to Judson. I'm not calling it out as anything's fantastic, but it's a nice service. We've automated the account management, and there's no cost to the district. Security cameras are always an issue. There's never enough. There's never one in the right place. But a bigger problem we had is that sometimes some of them are down. I mean, there's 12 or 1,300 of them in the district. We have one employee that manages them, and a lot of them are getting a little bit old at this point. So we started, I think, the first rollouts, I want to say, in about 2007. We did about 3 schools that year. I think we had an incident at Wagner, and the board decided we want to start having more cameras out there. So what happens, though, they have a lifespan, and they're starting to pop, and so we're spending increasing amounts of dollars and manpower, which is mostly contracted on replacing those. But the other issue we had is we had about 80 or 90 servers out there to store video, which were just basically big PCs or units that sat out at campuses and sites. Those are all disappearing, and as we speak, we're finishing up the replacement of all of those. All that traffic now is sent digitally to central servers, so we've done away with those, so it's a lot less failure points. Cameras still can fail, but there's a lot less servers. So if the server went down before, you might lose 16 cameras. So we actually house the camera footage now is in our data centers, not in closets and different places at the campuses.
So in your budget, you're requesting more?
We'll be spending an increasing amount on cameras and maintenance to replace them. We have not proposed a massive replacement program to upgrade them, which is always an option down the stretch.
More of a scheduled replacement.
Yeah, right, where we could go to a campus like Wagner was in the first round. We could say, you know what, we're going to convert all those. We wouldn't only replace them if we were going to do that, we'd actually convert them to IP cameras, which gives you a higher resolution, better footage. And so that's probably what we'd want to do in a situation like that.
And I think we have an item coming up next Thursday having to do with the,
Security cameras.
right, it's a proposal for access control and security
And that's
camera
really just
supplies.
a-
And that's what you're talking about, that's gonna update?
That RFP's not for that, that's really just so we have access to vendors to
Oh, that's
procure
just a list.
services
Oh, okay,
and
just a list.
equipment. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Mrs. Dunn, you had an anybody
Oh, I'm sorry.
And you know, they give a range of tolerance, right? But it's hot here. So we have we have more internal cameras than external, but even the campus is going to be kind of warm during the summertime. So yeah. It's kind of warm here. It breaks. I mean, you don't repair them. They're, you know, it's a device like everything else, and if it breaks, we'll take it out. Yeah.
Do we have a plan in place to, like, every year, every other year, to eventually get to the new technology? Because technology changes every day.
Yep.
There's always something better out there. But, like we do our roofs and, all these other things, do we have that in place?
Are you talking for cameras or otherwise?
Well, I'm talking about cameras and for really all of our technology stuff, computers in the classroom,
Right.
servers.
So we do for our core technology. You funded this past year a long-term replacement plan for our core technology in student classrooms. So that would be all, a teacher computer, lab computers. Those all are all starting this year. We're going to be replacing in about 7 schools. That core technology. It wouldn't include anything special the campus funded themselves, or maybe they had some grant computers or something of that nature. So it's not going to get every kid a computer but we are starting that process. We don't do it for everything. Projectors, printers, we're right now kind of keep them in service till they break, and then we'll try to bring a new one out if they need to be replaced. So got to pick and choose because budget, money's money, and we can't do everything. We've not done it for cameras, and should that be something that we want to look at doing? It's going to be a big cost, but we could certainly come up with a plan and a proposal for that.
Security camera under you or under the police or under?
We maintain the system. Police have access to full footage. Principals and assistant principals have access to full footage. What's nice about this new upgrade we're doing is they will have access on iPads as they walk around the campus and things to see that. So,
That's great.
but yeah, we try to stay out of the footage. We'll assist if there's a need, but we don't monitor the footage on a daily basis.
Very good. Okay.
All right, we did a major network storage upgrade. It's not exciting, but it's really integral. Everything that runs in this district sits on that storage, and so it's key. You don't want to lose our data. Data's everything these days. So we signed a new agreement, 5-year agreement. The great part about it, about the amount of money we were paying year to year in maintenance, because of signing the agreement, we got all the equipment replaced on top of that. So it was just a matter of committing to a good technology with a good partner, which was Dell. And we're sitting on a very attractive, we replaced all this equipment for much less than the cost of we paid for it originally.
Thank you.
With that, you were obviously, everyone's looking at
Yep.
ours goes down, what is it at?
We have backups, and every system's a little different because there's different technologies involved with different systems. We do backups to tape and disk. We also ship data between data centers, so we have 2 main data centers here in Judson High School. So those SANs, which is the storage I'm talking about, actually we can write data between them. So it may not be that if this building burned down, we could have everything running tomorrow. We can't, as we are today. We can't have it all running tomorrow, but we should have most of the data or all of the data protected in some place. We do backups of our tape. With our tape backups are stored off-site. We have a company that stores them in a secure vault, same place as banks and healthcare store their data. So we have that as well. So there's several mechanisms. We were trying to increase that time to bringing back systems, and we're actually doing some work right now around that to try to get a much better response where things can go live over at another data center or here if the other site's not going. Right, and we're going to be doing the same thing with our internet connection. So y'all approved the new internet services the last board meeting. We were going to have 2 internet pipes, and the way it has been, one pipe was always active, the other one was sitting as a reserve. Now we're going to have like quadruple the bandwidth, all of it live at the same time between those data centers. We did E-rate upgrades this past year. This is really nice. We got rid of some of our oldest network equipment in the district. Now our oldest equipment's sitting at probably Wagner High School and Salinas, just because of when they were built. So it's not tremendously old equipment today, but it's older and it's a different manufacturer. I'm really glad we got what we did done this year, because we have to take that older equipment that is funded at E-rate schools and move it to some schools that don't get funded. So like Judson Middle School and Kitty Hawk got the used gear, which is still very good. They just announced some changes to the E-rate program in the last couple months, and they are no longer funding any of that network gear this year. They just canceled all of it. We're not sure how that looks moving forward, but we're just glad we got done what we did in that year. So the only scary part is if we need to start entirely funding that gear, then it begs the question: do we need to have a long-term plan to replace all that gear?
Yes. And I was gonna say, make sure that when you all come up with some figures to let us know, because if we feel, I mean, if we need to start funding this
We
year
may.
or
We're not in
something.
a terrible position anywhere, because
Okay.
even like Wagner High School, it's getting a little old, but we're not having any problems there. It's still not a high failure rate, so we can kind of keep an eye on it and watch it. At some point, we'll probably want to start tackling that. We don't know what the feds are going to do yet with the program. So.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep. And with that, we'll just do a couple more things. We upgraded our help desk this year. It's not a real exciting project for most of the staff. The one thing we really focused on was our ability to interact with incidents or tickets very quickly, as well as making it as easy as possible for our customers to submit those things to us. We don't ask them for as much data now. We make it very quick. Our amount of tickets we're processing or incidents we're processing is really skyrocketing, so we know it's working. And you saw the customer satisfaction data, which directly comes out of this. So you see how that's working. So that's a good project. What's really cool about it is we have several other districts in the state that are looking to follow us with the same system we bought, because they knew we did a lot of work on it. I think Cypress Fairbanks is embarking on this as well, so they're a little bit larger than us. In the event, next item up is the long-term computer replacement plan. We just talked about it briefly, so we're starting the funding. We didn't fund a lot of money for this. So we budgeted there's districts that spend $1,000, $1,500 on a computer. We budgeted a lot less. We've already got very competitive bids from major manufacturers. We think we're going to be able, we're not replacing the monitor. We got rid of the CRTs a few years ago. The monitors are still good, so we're going to leave them and we'll replace them as it breaks. But that way we can give them a speedy, good computer at these sites. And so we'll start going site by site. We're putting in virtual computers in our labs because we haven't had any increases in staffing to maintain computers. We've got to be more efficient about how we do it. So what happens in those labs is those labs will now be run from servers remotely, but that might cut a technician's amount of computers they're responsible for by 180, 200 computers or more. And when you're supporting 1,200 computers a technician, that will make a difference. But it's also a very budget-friendly thing to do, and those do work with online testing.
But, sir,
Yes.
and I'm not a technology guy, I'll tell you up front. If you need that extra person, sir, and if you put it on your budget, we can talk about it,
Sure.
and maybe we can fund it.
It is in
But
the
don't
request
rely
pipeline.
on one person and then say, well, we could have Hey, you know, if it's going to help the kids, I'm for it.
And we have put
That's
it
what
in.
we're here for.
I agree, we
Okay.
put it in the request.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, what position? I don't understand.
Yeah, basically, we're looking at augmenting the help desk and a technician in the upcoming year.
Yeah.
We've actually had a temp manning the help, as a second help desk person for, well, they've been with us all year, but they really, the first half of the year, manned the help desk because the call volume was so high, so. But it's been a good year. And so we've augmented with temp labor this year, and that has helped. And y'all funded that last year.
Thank you, sir.
Just so you know, oh, sorry.
How is that, system, get some
We have lots of,
Well, my question is, how are we working with integration?
well, there's always,
Finance, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Portal Healthcare Act, electronic medical record integration, it's costing billions and billions of dollars just to use the Portal Healthcare Act.
I can tell you, this district is sitting much better than most in terms of standardization of usernames and passwords, because it's been my beef since we started our identity management project several years ago. And we also bought out of the 2006 bond a portal. And so y'all probably don't ever go in there, but we have a MyJST portal for staff and students. So anytime, and I know our friends in curriculum know this, anytime we bring a big product on, we really try to talk to the company and say, how can we integrate your product? And the K-12 vendors are not good about it, but we try to put those into our portal and pass usernames and passwords into those applications. So the employee logged into a portal or student logs into the portal, and then they're auto logged into whatever app they choose. Not everything works. It's up to the vendors and what we can do, but we've come very far in that. So it's not perfect. There's always more work to do, and we question vendors left and right. Mr. Martinez and Mr. Davis met with one a couple weeks ago. I met with one. Mr. Ashmore and Ms. Grady and myself were meeting with another set of vendors. What we're finding is everyone is an IT department now in this district. Every department here has systems, and they're buying them. And sometimes some vendors support things better than others, but we do try to work with them just as much as we can. Either pass data, pass usernames, all those things happen.
I don't think it's spoiled to you, but I want to tell you, this is becoming a major issue in health care. Major issue. No one can talk to me about what everything is going on. And it's going on billions of dollars in research. Electronic medical records. Even advanced, I don't know if you've done it well. I have X-ray, anesthesia, inpatient, outpatient, all different systems coming from.
And that's been forced by federal regulations as well, right? So not necessarily funded, but yeah, we're familiar with that concept here. Yeah. And we try to pick and choose. There's been some projects that finance has been working on as well to try to integrate some disparate systems. It's really hard when you have, two vendor systems that maybe sit up in the cloud. It's hard to get, for us to even talk to them, let alone two of them to talk to each other. But they've been working. You got pilots that are going successfully right now. So just got to pick and choose what we're going to do. Anytime we get a new system, we worry about usernames, passwords. There's almost always data transfers that have to happen up to those vendors. The other big worry about that is we're passing a lot of data to vendors, and a lot of them can't answer the questions we ask about security and what do they do with the data, what do they promise not to do with the data. There's a big federal analysis of this going on, actually at the federal government level. I think Dr. Mackey sent an email he had seen about that. They're actually looking at this because there's so much data just basically stored out there. Windows XP is ending, so if you have a Windows XP computer, it's not going to end, but the support and security updates are for it next month. So the good thing is we've largely been without XP in the district for a year or two. We're about 95% now, and Mr. Davis is promising to be darn close to 100% by start of next school year. So there won't be much left. There's a few things that just require it, but for the most part, we'll have gotten rid of that. All the Bond 2006 computers, we bought good computers, and all of them were able to be upgraded to Windows 7. So that's not a problem there. One last thing or two. I think this is probably the last thing I'll highlight. Mr. Cortinas and his group have been working very hard on this project with a company called Certify, and it actually takes our PEAMS data, our data submitted by campuses, and a lot of times that's only it's submitted to the state periodically, 4 times a year, and so there's long periods where that data is looked at, and it's run to look for errors and bad problems in it. We wanted to be more proactive, so we bought a subscription to Certify, and nightly reports are run against the data to see if, you know, you have a kid that's in 12th grade and the birth date's, 2010, the system might spot that and bring a flag up and then tell the campus to go fix their data. So we've been...
Unlike when you go into IRS and it tells you the social phone that
Right, it's a live check of the data versus a check that you find out a lot later and then you have a bigger mess. So they're starting with, it's mostly campus data. At some point they're going to look at finance data, but mostly student data at this time, and discipline data. And the cool thing about the discipline data is now the campuses are looking at the discipline data so they can get a better handle on doing discipline correctly. That's it.
Go ahead, sir.
Trying to get back to the cameras part of it. A lot of our cameras are funded through bonds or right?
A lot were, and either through the bond itself, which it was an original bond item, but it was one that we found money to do a lot of campuses, as well as a lot of campuses as they're built, and the cameras were put into that project as part of construction.
And some of these cameras, with cameras that are deteriorating, drain footage, is that installed?
Generally, the cameras work fine until they just die. So for the most part, yes, there is a difference when you take a high-end IP megapixel camera versus the old analog camera. There's a difference. We can still get a pretty good picture out of an analog camera. Not as good, but at the end of the day, it's a judgment call. I mean, what are we willing to pay for? What's it worth? There's a deterrent effect to that camera regardless of the quality of the footage. I mean, when I started here, we had equipment. We had equipment walking away from campuses. A lot more theft reports that we just don't hear about anymore. Not that equipment's not lost, but it really has changed the game. The stuff that walks now is a little smaller. Right? So computers and projectors aren't disappearing anymore. So, and that's not the only thing that might happen at a campus, but it's just one example. Yeah, I mean, there's reasons that, regardless of the clarity even, and it could be lighting, there's lots of things that can affect that. We do have older cameras that, don't have as high a quality in some cases. There's always going to be cases, even with the best cameras, that you can't see the footage well. Fast moving subject, maybe they're dressed, where you can't see. Lighting's always an issue, so.
In your budget recommendation for replacing some of these cameras, because we have bond paper majority of them, we don't have this bond item going forward. Basically, you're just taking the oldest cameras out.
Generally, as they break is what we're doing, just because it's the most affordable method to go, right?
That way we're
Our uptime is very high now. We're darn close to 99% uptime on all our cameras. And when Dr. Mackey really pushed this as an issue, we're down in the 94% range. So we're much higher. Doesn't mean the picture's always perfect. And there's other things. If the subject is way at the back of that frame, like far in the distance, you may not even be recording them, right? I mean, they have to be close to a camera to really to do any good. But they're used all the time. I can't report onto you how successful they are in using them to catch things, but I know Dr. Mackey hears reports. Mr. Kirshner can talk about the police. I mean, they're the ones that look at it, and the campuses look at it to catch
The
things.
campus,
Yeah. They have footage. Yep.
Both of them.
Yep.
2 break-ins we call it.
Yep. And there's been other cases as well.
Yeah, I know you recommended the budget cycle. It's always a lot of money.
Yeah.
What do we get for that money? We want to see return. But again, that's something you'll let us know what you recommend.
Well, and another thing we could do, Dr. Mackey, if Dr. Mackey chooses, we could, or if you direct him to we could always target, I mean, if we feel like there's a higher need at, say, a high school
High risk
versus
areas.
an elementary school, we can always target that. And maybe that's something we could do.
But just as soon as you do that, then something happens over here, they want you to have a camera.
Well, and then there's the corner that didn't have a camera. I mean,
Improve
Yeah.
cameras at those higher risk locations.
you can always put in more cameras, you know? Yep.
Well, and my other thing is, you had mentioned something about, principals and APs being able to look at, video and so on. Do I need to bring my iPad in, so I can watch the videos from our board meetings online, or is this an update?
That's something where we need to look at updating the media server for those videos, and something that's on network services list to do, because right now it was put in, it really streams best to Windows computers, right? But we're not in the computer world anymore. Yeah.
That's one thing that I was.
I'll make a note and remind, maybe we'll move that project up a little bit. Mr. Davis will make a note of it as well, to work with Mr. Dean, so we'll do that.
Well, thank you very much,
Yep,
sir.
thank
We
you all.
appreciate that.
We have two blocks. You're not gonna talk to us about the last two blocks?
Really, those are projects that are kind of upcoming, that were planned. We were waiting on vendors and the state in one case to do these systems, so we'll be upgrading eSchool Plus to a brand new system in the fall, And the Texas Student Data System is a state, we were a pilot district. They've delayed some of the pilots, I think, just because of difficulties with implementing the system, so we're still waiting on that. We have not heard a date, have we? Nope. So
So
we're
do you need money in the budget for these two, or?
Not really. We already have the money for eSchool. It's just a matter of waiting to do the project. We don't want to upgrade in the middle of the school year, so we'll do it over this summer.
No, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
No.
So we'll do it this summer.
So Dr. Mackey, when we come back, I have some questions on e-finance, which are probably answer Mr. Sullivan.
I just have two more issues.
I'm finished.
This customer survey, I liked it. I think, overall, it's done very well in this area. A lot of activities, just thank you for that. But this satisfaction survey, is it something that could roll out, at a great level? I'm looking at that, to me, thing you talked about with the district of employees. Being able to just give them something like this, if we're not already doing that.
Certainly, we could work with HR. I mean, it's not too hard to come up with a survey tool to survey employees that, if it's something we do internally. Ours is really geared around, we provided a service to them, let's pull them on that service to make sure we did a good job.
I don't think this isn't very expensive to do this type of survey, and at least we're talking to our employees to give some additional input.
Well, and we're using a service desk system to do this, and it's possible that other departments down the stretch could choose to do something, especially service-oriented departments where they take calls, where they do work
Yes.
orders. Maintenance has their own system. I don't know if it puts out surveys, but even the tool we have could be used in other departments. We wrote the survey tool ourselves, but it integrates with that other system.
And I guess the other we're going to in the Pine Sky assessment is the parental engagement piece. There's a lot of opinions, a lot of things I have, but asking our parents to fill out these types of surveys. Satisfaction surveys based on teachers, or based on employees, or anything like that, that would help us just be a stronger district. And do not realizing you're doing this a lot already to validate the work you're doing. In fact, we should and could and need to collaborate to figure out what we can do in other departments. So I mean, come back to you and work with Dr. Mathis, so we can see what we might be able to
Sure.
do. Just like it's reaffirm one thing, it's not, there's no cost to do those things, or is it?
No, I mean, really, the only cost is the time of whoever fills out that survey at this point.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we will now proceed to item B, business services. And we will entertain this section until we finish it.
We could do public information and we could finish it and not start.
Oh,
And then just do, I mean, just recommend it, but it's up to you.
I'm sorry, that is a smaller one, so I think he can do it in 5 minutes. Thank you. I do have one.
How many questions you have?
Okay. Okay, sir, public information. Oh, Dr. Mackey?
Okay, well, I will go through these pretty much like Mr. Young did, and if you have some questions, you can certainly ask those if you want. First of all, we take a look at the publications. Now, Public information has a number of different publications, whether they be electronic as well as paper. And the first one you see there is the Judson Journal. This obviously goes out to students, community members, staff. Over the years, it has been in the form of a paper copy that has gone out through the community. Now, what we have done as far as the Judson Journal is concerned, that has now moved to an electronic version that lives on the website. We have moved a lot of the content that we would typically put in the Judson Journal that went out to the community in a private publication called Local Community News. You may have seen these come into the mail. And that also encompasses the community ed classes that Judson ISD offers as well. We feel like that was a more efficient way of getting the information out. It got the classes and even our story content, which also includes a message from Dr. Mackey twice a year. This was going out to possibly 10 to 15,000 more households than we did when we were doing the paper copy, when we were doing the Judson Journal standalone publication through the district. And it was also a cost savings measure as well, because every time we published the Judson Journal, it was probably $10,000 to sometimes $12,000 when you got into the publication, the information and the postage, everything else that went along with it. So the going to the website we feel like was a good way to go. We're starting to step up the promotion of it, being on the website through social media, the website as well as the Judson Post, which is obviously a subscription-based type of information outlet. You can see that the cost basically going to the electronic version is almost nil, with the exception of whatever the website itself costs. So we go from here to the Judson Post. Judson Post, as you probably know, is a subscription-based publication that comes in your email. This is a very good, useful tool for news and information. Also, we've been putting in employee perks into the Judson Post as well. We've also been selling advertising in the Judson Post over the past year and a half, and that's been generating money that is actually going into the Judson Education Foundation. So we've actually, we started out, when we first started doing it, maybe a couple of ads per edition. Now we're up to, I think, possibly 6 or 7, which over the past year and a half, for that little small subscription is actually some substantial progress. The advertising, I'd have to check with Ms. Reyna. She's the one who essentially takes care of that. It's through a vendor called Your School News, I believe it's called. But I can check and see how much is actually going to the foundation. But it's a few $1,000s. That is currently electronic as well, and it will typically have some published links, email links that folks can use either for the perks that go out to the staff members, or it will actually even go to a larger write-up on the story that's being published.
Mr. Before you continue, Dr. Mackey, on this Judson Post that is subscription basis, how much is the person you hired to be the coordinator with our community?
Liaison?
Are they coordinating some of this information when they go out, such as, is there something that she has, that say if she attends a BTO meeting, or she attends a band booster meeting, to notify the community that they can subscribe to this?
At this time, I'm not aware of that, but that would certainly be a good venue to
Maybe
get that
increase
more.
your
Right.
subscription basis?
Yes.
And I know, somebody at Judson, they're having something tonight at Judson, some type of function tonight. And so, some of the
and the, you know, when the subscription is free, and it comes out weekly, which keeps you up to date with the things that are going on. Much more prevalent than, you know, Judson Journal, which is more of a seasonal thing. We publish that 4 times a year. And so the Judson Journal is more probably fresher news. Also, under the publications, we do our instructional calendar flyers. You may remember those are kind of a trifold that has information about the district. It has the instructional calendar on the back. You know, that's something that, even though that's something that comes out every year, everybody is used to seeing that, to depend on that. That is a cost to the district. But you can see that is paid for through departmental budget funds. This is produced at the beginning of the year and distributed throughout the district so that everybody can see what the dates are. They can make plans. They know when the holidays are and early release dates, all that kind of thing. Special event publications, we don't really see just an awful lot of this, but one example is the Copperfield groundbreaking. Excuse me. This is given to all the folks that are attending the event. People will be able to, that are attending it, can see who is there and a little bit about the event itself. So while that is not anything that we do just all the time, that is something that we have to do as the occasion comes up. We go on to the website. This obviously is something that goes out even beyond just our own community. But this is updated on a daily basis with news and information involving students, events, even upcoming events. And I'm sure you're very aware of this particular tool that we use. Through this particular venue, we have a couple of things here. I think the monitoring fidelity, that was supposed to be going, I think, on another page, so I apologize about that. But the website, we maintain, you know, every day. We use social media also to be able to promote the stories. We use it as kind of a tool to drive people to the website, and the numbers actually have been very good over the past year and a half. And really, is in terms of cost, you know, just excuse me, however much it costs to keep things going with the website and the server. So, and I am the one that's solely responsible for the content of that. So whenever publicity requests come in, you know, I on average will put probably about 3 or 4 news stories on there each day. So it's something that is refreshed and updated just about every day. So that's probably one of your best places to find news and information that's fresh. Hall of Honor. This past year we had 4 members, 2 civic and 2 athletic members. This is just an ongoing project that we do each year. The induction, of course, is in the spring. The voting goes on during the fall. This is paid for through nominal existing departmental funds covering plaques for the inductees and the Hall of Honor itself. We are looking at some ways that we can maybe promote the voting and the nominating process a little bit better. So,
I think our Hall of Honor, and I'm not just addressing you, I'm actually addressing the board and the superintendent, we need some new enthusiasm infused in that, interest in thrilling, and, you know, this is one program that is really significant. I know as far as on the foundation, we still, even this week, got requests about alumni. We don't really have an alumni set up. We don't have anything set up for them. So, with their
like an
not being-
alumni association, is that what you're talking about?
Well, an alumni association or alumni record, or, you know, we don't have anything where we maintain contact, and so the ones that have left, the Hall of Honor requests are incumbent upon people that are still here.
a social network.
It's a little blurb on there, but it's amazing how many yes people get on that one little section.
Something that would allow people to like log in and put their
We wrote an app several years ago for that, but you know why it's not used now?
Yeah.
Facebook. It's all done through Facebook, so. It doesn't mean we couldn't maybe connect into that.
Look, if we had something on our website that had a link, so
Mhm.
they know we had something. We do just regular conferences. I want to do that.
Next page takes you to business partnerships. This, of course, is directed by Yvette Reyna. This fosters approximately 100 business partnerships that have provided employees with perks as well as a number of discounts. You usually see those in your emails at least once a week. Those over the past year and a half that I've been here, of course, it's mostly anecdotal information, but there are, she reports to me, there's a lot of emails of staff members that show their appreciation for a lot of the discounts and the things that come across the email. So I feel like that's something that is a positive thing, and it's relatively low or no cost to the district.
You skip the outside, the people that are.
Teacher grants? Teacher grants?
Oh, that's,
Maybe your order's different than
maybe. I'll just go to that one next.
we had it before business partnership.
Okay, well, that would probably make sense with Ms. Rayner. This past year, the Judson Education Foundation awarded almost $16,000 in teacher grants and $15,000 in scholarships. The gala cleared $38,000, so that was very successful as well. Public awareness through student stories and exposure of how the students and teachers benefited from the annual Jeff Gala, website posts, social media efforts. You may have seen some of the videos that have been posted on the web, the social media support. Yeah, I really feel like she did a good job with that, incorporating the whole idea of what the Education Foundation is about, as well as is kind of playing to some of our major sponsors. So that was kind of thinking out the box there. So prize parade each spring, that as well goes on. We visit the teachers and students. That's always kind of a very nice, warm, fuzzy sort of activity that goes on, and so we'll be continuing that. Golf tournament, eGive, the football camp. Those are all very, very big fundraisers for the foundation, and all still continue to be very successful and have been attended very well, too.
Only thing on there I don't see is the United Way. Would you count that as part of the foundation, or count that separate?
Well, I guess you could be able to call that, because staff members are allowed to designate specifically to the foundation. Sure.
Just so that we could get a total of what we, as a district, did for the year for United Way. And, I know our percentage is really, really high this year.
But we had a presentation for that.
Last month.
How much we, like, that's.
No, I'm saying,
It's
didn't we
definitely-
have a presentation for that?
That was during the year when they.
United Way in
Oh, we have
February?
the next Thursday?
Bless you. Oh,
Yeah, she'll have a presentation on the state of the foundation.
Okay, we just tell her to tell us what part of United Way we got as well.
All right.
Just for the benefit of the board, not directed to you, Mr. Wisdom. One of the things for the foundation that they discussed this week was, how, we felt about more money going toward, teacher grants impacting more of the students. board thinks, because the money that they're giving is coming to benefit us for things we can't fund as a board.
Okay.
Something else that's coming up and will be available very soon that our department's very excited about is Judson ISD District brochure that the board members, staff, and go to conferences and so forth will be available. It's includes several pages as well as the back cover and the front cover. We've been working with Region 20 on this particular project for quite some time. Most of the time that we've spent that has been extra that we weren't really counting on was the fact that most of the pictures that have been taken over the past several months have not been high enough resolution for them to use in this kind of publication. So they've had to go out and shoot photos a lot of the time on their own. We, of course, could have asked them to use stock photos, but they wouldn't be of our kids necessarily. Seeing that going on, I decided to go ahead and invest in a higher-end camera. So, Mr. Rhodes just got that this past week, and it is going to be a very high-end camera that we will be able to use for these kinds of projects. So, but anyway, this is going to be coming out here the next few weeks. I would say the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we've already seen a mock-up of it. Dr. Mackey's seen it as well. But it's going to have some significant changes to it. But it'll touch on the nuts and bolts of the district, the history of the district, and actually highlight a number of the unique programs that this district has to offer.
Good.
Of course,
On that note, are you putting anything on the Go Public campaign that, showing the
Coalition.
The Bear County Coalition is doing the Go
That-
Public?
we certainly, we had not planned it, but we certainly can, and we're still able to
That
do
would
that.
be good,
They did ask us about that, yeah.
Absolutely, it's something that it's a
So you can,
instant
the
contact.
link goes to it, so they can.
Sure. The GISD directory, this is in the form of not only electronic, but also paper directory that we put out at the beginning of the year. The electronic version is one that we are updating every couple of months, just so that because people come and go within the district, we try to make it as fresh as possible. And that, of course, is done through myself and Secretary Rose Saldivar. Media relations, excuse me. This, of course, is not just within the print media, but also broadcast, radio and television. So far during this school year, we've facilitated 152 inquiries from the print and broadcast news media. We also have the report card that comes out each week. And we also, a program that we implemented last year, airchecknews.com, gives us clips of anything that has Judson ISD affiliated to or said in it. So those are ways that, they work off keywords. So that is a way that we can gather up those kinds of clips. We see those clips. If they're pertinent, I will put those in those emails that I send out on a daily basis called news links, and you're able to see the clip yourself. We also have the ability to purchase a clip if we really like the story, like we've had in the past. I believe that was kind of related to Ms. Robinson's prep program with Rocky and it escapes me right now. But anyway, those kinds of things we're able to do that as well, and that is through our departmental funds. Public Information Act requests. So far, we've fulfilled 92 of those open requests, open records requests, and that right now is going along just fine. The last page you'll see here, as I wrap up, is a new initiative. I know that the board in the past, and I've talked with President Salinas about it as well as Dr. Mackey, that the board has been very interested in trying to expand our way of two-way communication with the community. There is a program that through a firm called K-12 Insight. This particular company is a tool called Let's Talk, which essentially brings questions, comments, compliments, those kinds of things into almost like a clearinghouse where those are funneled into a cloud-based type of software program that they can be taken into the district, sent to the appropriate departments, and they can be dealt with in a more efficient manner. These can be taken in through a computer, through a mobile device. A person can come in to the front desk and talk to the secretary or the receptionist, and she can fill out something that takes like maybe 30 seconds to fill out, what the issue was, or what department it has to do with. It could be somebody that, if somebody catches me at a ball game or at a grocery store, it works on a mobile device as well. And these comments and questions and concerns, again, are put in to this data bank where it is shot out to the appropriate person, the appropriate department, and it's dealt with. It also has analytics where it can tell what you can go into the issue itself, read about what's going on. There's also analytics where it shows you how long this case has been open, how long it's taken for the average issue to be taken care of. And so it provides a way for the community to have a question or a comment or a concern or even any kind of issue at all to be brought to the district and be dealt with in a way that is more effective. That way you can effectively deal with these kinds of issues without maybe a few, 2 or 3 loud and persistent people that may always have something to say, that we can get those issues taken care of in a more efficient manner than just kind of as an ad hoc sort of, messages here, messages there.
And let me, for the benefit of the board, Dr. Mackey and I did sit down with Mr. Linston, and after I heard what he had to say, I was very excited. So I said, put it on the budget, let the board know exactly what the cost is going to be. But I think that the long run, the benefit is going to be tremendous, and that's why he, as you notice there, more or less to accomplish this, he needs $44,000, but that'll be part of his budget. So, sir, thank you for explaining that, and I wanted to hear that for the other board. The other boards to hear that what you had explained to Dr. Mackey and I.
And if you have any, there's a PowerPoint presentation and even a short video that explains it probably even more succinctly than I did, that I can send to each and every one of you. It takes probably about 3 minutes to look at, and it explains it very well. It's actually pretty simple, and it's a good way of dealing with issues before they become a crisis.
Well, it's for our constituents, and I think that would be great. Okay, any questions? Any questions?
Hey, just put it in.
Okay.
Let's put it in a drive pack or something.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a link.
Actually, it's an attachment. I have a PowerPoint that the rep sent me, and I also have a QuickTime, movie. But either one.
Just send it electronically,
Yes.
and all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
I think we could also find the president if something bad happens, if you've been dispatched, we have a
Thank you, Mr. Linscomb. We appreciate that. Board members? Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to echo the same thing as what the newsletter has been phenomenal, Neil. News links, been great. Always looking to see if we might miss one. You can always put it in there. Ready to send another one. You get them all the time, so that's good. This program, I am interested to look at that. It sounds like a great engagement tool for the community. But I keep going back to the idea that this is something that with Mr. Young, that we can kind of garner some of the same things without having to spend $44,000. I'm not sure. I need to look closer at what this is, but when I saw that survey response that Mr. Young was able to put out for customer satisfaction, I'm thinking for Tony and then we can garner opinions and input. And if it costs us less money and does the same thing, it might be good to get.
We could certainly, we can certainly take a look at that. When they presented me with the overall program at first, it was like, $80-some odd thousand, and I said, we've got to crawl before we can walk on this. And I said, if we're going to consider anything at all, it's got to be segmented, and we need to see how well this will work, first of all.
If we have the manpower, if we do it and water it down and try to do this, then it's half done. I've looked at the program, it's gotta be full fidelity, it's gotta be done with this company the way it's done right, and I've looked at the other districts that's doing it around here, that they get good results. So if we're gonna do it, I would recommend doing full scale like the way they do it, because this has rapport with each department, and it's communicated back. It's a time to report, communicate back. Our staff right now is lower than any school district administration staff anywhere around here. You look at AI Week, lower. So when you add more to us and doing reports and communicating, then you just taking away from all the work that we do. So that's why I said I wouldn't recommend doing that, because that'll take away, don't take away from the PIA department, that takes away from all of us, because we got to sit down and respond and take time to do that.
Well, I guess again, I'm just getting a better understanding of what it is they would be doing in terms of deliverable. And I guess the board could receive reports on how the project is going along with the institution.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, it's something that you can log to and you can look at it anytime you want to. And it has this accountability system built into it, by departments, by campuses, all that sort of thing, so that you can see what's going on.
Okay, thank you very much. I know that I said 8 o'clock was going to be our deadline, but I know that we communicate with Mr. Elizondo every month on the financial. If it's the wish of the board to go ahead and do the business services right now, or would you rather? I see a lot of no's. Okay.
After you adjourn the meeting, I want to talk to them real quick about the audit for the Human Resource Department.
Oh,
Homework. I just want to hand it to you.
Okay, so, yes, sir. Oh, okay. Okay, this meeting of the review is adjourned. Tomorrow they have a